Black History Month. Racism don't work without black cooperation. It ain't gonna end without white participation. It's Black History Month. We're gonna make it a moment. That's me. All right. In 2011, I put a toilet in front of the Towson courthouse to expose the corruption in the courts, racism in the courts. All right. That's me. I own me. I own all parts of me. Nobody can sign my checks. Nobody can do nothing with my accounts. You look at the date, it's Black History Month. See the date? February the 2nd, 2011. See the date? February the 2nd, 2011. And this is what you see. All right. Page 1. Page 2. Page 3. We, the inmates of the Lake County Jail, are looking for help. There's no oversight in the prison industry. Mass incarceration is a multi-billion-dollar industry. I'm a whistleblower on the courts and the corruption in the courts, the money you make in the war on drugs. That's Alan Locks. All right? Right there. That's the Department of Justice, 2014. I got a right to access the grand jury. All right? Right here. That's Judge Bell, October 2007. Accessing the grand jury, Brackley versus Wells. It's making a documentary. That is designed. Covered under the First Amendment of the Constitution. And y'all charged me with terrorism. All right, February 2011. And you had the paperwork on February the 2nd. 7 days later, you locked me up and stole me from my family. That's Ivan Bates. Racism don't work without black cooperation. Ivan Bates had this information before he was state's attorney, when he was with Garcia Law Firm. We're talking about the First Amendment of the Constitution. Oh shit. Talking about the First Amendment of the Constitution. All right? The First Amendment. The Fourth Amendment. And the Fifth Amendment. Today is day 49. All right? Day 49. I'm out $250 million in intellectual property. The state of Maryland owes me $250 million. And that's the IRS. All right? 2008 to 2014. All right? And it's, see the state's attorney's office? Received at the state's attorney's office. This is the comptroller. Forged checks from March of 2008 to now. You feel me? State's attorney. See the ID, IRS. So we don't have no misunderstandings. That's Brooke Learman. All right. See who got it? Governor Westmore, Anthony Brown, Eric Barron, and President Biden. That's my response from Brooke Learman. So like I said, it's session. So when I started this, I did everything through the Postal Service, the Postal Inspector, United States Postal Service on January the 2nd, 2008. That's David Smith. All right? That's David Smith. That's Brooke Learman. That's Ivan Bates. That's Sinclair Broadcasting. That's Delegate Sheila Roof. If you go to Delegate Sheila Roof, she got 3 books. Those books exposes the corruption in Maryland and in Illinois. It shows the Democratic and the Republican Party and the money you make off black bodies. Delegate Sheila Roof got that. That's Eric Barron from the Department of Justice. Eric Barron ain't here no more, so my paperwork, he got to turn over. That's my intellectual property. That's the Maryland Black Caucus. From 2008 to now, the Maryland Black Caucus has been protecting white supremacy. Racism don't work without black cooperation. That's Ivan Bates. See the date? These are certified mailing. That makes it legal in any state in this country, and it's notarized. So we're gonna pull these papers together. That's Trina from Alpha Justice. Trina got my evidence in the case. If something happened to me, Trina got my evidence. And in this session, we're gonna bring that evidence to Annapolis. That's Dr. K, WEEA Radio, September 2024. Dr. K, Dr. Wimbush, Mark Steiner, Anthony McCarthy, WEEA Radio. You got the haves and the have-nots. The haves and the have-nots. And me and Dr. K done had this conversation a couple times. Racism don't work without black cooperation. Racism don't work without black cooperation. That's Dr. K. That's Anthony Brown, Attorney General Anthony Brown. He was Lieutenant Governor Anthony Brown when I started this. Get Shorty. Governor O'Malley approved it in 2007. That's Attorney Marilyn Mosby. And I got her on film when I handed her this information in Annapolis. Put your big girl panties on. Racism don't work without black cooperation. That black girl magic caused a lot of black men pain. That's Senator Brooks. If you go to Senator Brooks, he got everything I need. Senator Brooks, Kaylin Young, Delegate Sheila Roof, Governor Westmore, Ivan Bates. Taxation without representation is a denial of my constitutional rights. That's my rights. That's Lou Clippinger. That's Speaker Adrian Jones. Before Speaker Adrian Jones became Speaker of the House, she was Delegate Jones, and she was in the room when I talked about Scott Shellenberger. Y'all want to protect white supremacy because it makes y'all a lot of money. Martin Luther King told y'all about that. The campaign of public shame, the haves versus the have-nots. And I ain't having it no more. That's Senator Bill Ferguson. On the first day of session, me and Bill Ferguson spoke together. I got him on film. We shining his shoes. That's Jared Jimenez. We talking about voter suppression by the Democratic and the Republican Party. I ran for Lieutenant Governor as a Republican. I'm a black Republican, all right? And y'all took me off the ballot. Now you got campaign financing violations up to $5,000, $6,000. I need a federal and a state audit. A federal and a state audit. And Jared Jimenez got to do it. We talking about Jim Crow justice. You took me off the ballot with no valid reason. That's Commissioner Harris. Commissioner Harris ain't in the seat no more, so prosecutorial immunity don't apply to you. In 2006, y'all made a stop snitching video. Everything Commissioner Harris got, y'all got to turn over. That's Senator Cardin's. All right? Everything Senator Cardin's got since 2006, he got to turn over. The documentary was about the Democratic Party, the Democratic and the Republican Party. It was about the war on drugs, N62528. Google search the state of Illinois versus Dwayne Davis. Scott Shellenberger destroyed that Jailhouse Diary from 1986, but I got a diary from 2007, and I got a diary from 2011. We're gonna show you the complicity of our black leadership to protect mass incarceration. Y'all make a lot of money locking up black people. That's David Trone. Everything David Trone got, you got to turn over. It's my intellectual property. Everybody that got something from me is my intellectual property because you're part of the movie. Social media for social change. I don't need 1 million people to march. I need 1 million people to pay attention. All right? That's from the Maryland Volunteer Lawyers for the Arts. That's the Maryland Volunteer Lawyers for the Arts, because you're going to take me to the Supreme Court. That's Chief Justice Roberts and President Biden in April. Chief Justice Roberts has this since 2007. President Biden had it since he was Vice President Biden. Obama asked for an investigation and Biden didn't do nothing. The whole 4 years he was doing, and the 8 years he was Vice President. That's 12 years a slave. That's Governor Westmore. Governor Westmore got this. Mayor Brandon Scott got this. City, county, state, and federal levels. Executive, judicial, and legislative branches of the government. I've exhausted my remedies under the law. So I put it on film. Do blacks have rights which white America respects? No, they don't. We slaves then and we slaves now. We traded the penitentiary for the plantation, cotton for cocaine, and our black community is still a cash crop. That's Councilman Izzy Pataki. You got sundown towns in Baltimore County. Towson is a sundown town. Blacks have no rights in Towson. Scott Shellenberger charged me with terrorism, had no evidence, went to the grand jury with no evidence, presented false evidence to the grand jury, lied to the grand jury. I was found innocent of all charges. You took my truck, you took my computer, you took 13 storyboards, you took contracts, you took movie releases, you took my intellectual property, and it was worth $250 million. If you go to Baltimore County Law Department, I filed that claim in 2012. That's Dante Hickman. All right? Pastor Dante Hickman been knowing me for the longest. When Charles Barkley came to town, I shut that shit down. Dante Hickman was in the room when Mikulski had this private meeting about dispersing money to the churches, because the Democratic Party spends a lot of money in the black churches to keep them votes, because the old people go to church. So Barbara Mikulski, Dante Hickman, yeah, we're going to talk about that. The doors of the church is open. The doors of the church is open. Dante Hickman got to produce this material for everybody to see. All right, for everybody to see. Pastor Dante Hickman. If you deny you know me on earth, are you going to deny you know me in heaven? We're not going to wait that long. It's my intellectual property, and Dante Hickman is part of it. Dante Hickman got a lot of conversations about me. Well, let's have a conversation up front. That's Governor Westmore. That's Mayor Brandon Scott. So I've written you countless times and you've not responded any time. Like I said, it's a documentary. You let David Simon make the movie Baltimore, The Wire. This is Baltimore, Rewired, the money behind the machine. I ain't got to change nobody's name. The star of the show is Governor Larry Hogan. The star of the show, Governor Westmore. City, county, state, and federal levels. Executive, judicial, and legislative. Governor, mayor, county executive. I've exhausted my remedies. President Biden and the Department of Justice. Eric Barron got this. Sarah Marquette got this. Alan Locks got this. Rod Rosenstein had this. Ronald Davis. Patrick Fitzgerald. Chief Justice Mary Barbera. All right? We talk about the grand jury and the corruption in the courts. In 1980s, they had Operation Greylord. Well, we're going to do Operation Greylord again. That's Xavier Conway, the clerk of the court. He destroyed evidence. Him and his grandfather, Frank Conway. Got to go to the court. Got to file the paperwork with the court, the clerk of the court, and Ivan Bates. Y'all got my paperwork. That's Judge Richardson. All right, see the date? December the 2nd. That's Judge Richardson, and Governor Hogan put Richardson in that seat, and Richardson had evidence of the corruption and refused to address that. That's Kalen Young. Kalen Young got my property. Kalen Young said he's going to work with me. So I got one. Kalen Young and Delegate Sheila Roof. Delegate Sheila Roof and Kayla Young has got my paperwork. Senator Brooks got my paperwork. That's Peter Francott. See the date? That's 2022. Social media for social change. I don't need 1 million people to march. I hope you're paying attention. That's TJ Smith, WBAL. TJ Smith got paid $1 million to drop out the race when he ran for mayor. Then they gave him a job at WBAL and took care of his kids. Racism don't work without black cooperation. Tell him to call me. Tell him to produce this material. If he produced this material, that means he's a party to a crime. Parties to a crime. That's Natasha, the public defender. Public defender, clerk of the court, state's attorney, attorney general, Department of Justice. See where I'm going with this? The Supreme Court, Dred Scott. Do blacks have rights in which white America respects? Willie Flowers had this information. Willie Flowers from the NAACP. Kobe Little from the NAACP. Natasha from the Public Defender's Office. You see it? That's Judge Badar of the Baltimore City Dissent Decree. All right? Judge Badar, Chief Justice Roberts of the Supreme Court. That's Judge Carrion. All right? See the date? Judge Carrion got this. I went to retrieve my property from Judge Carrion, and the sheriffs had me put out the courthouse. We talk about the making of black America. All right? The making of black America. You got some questions? Ask them. I'm the cook in Baltimore. All right? And I'm getting ready to cook y'all up. Y'all had the diary of Anne Frank? Well, this is Maryland's Arts Day 2025. All right? Maryland Arts Day 2025. Toilets from my past. You can buy the book. I'm an activist in Baltimore. Finally member of the Baltimore block. All right. All right. And I'm famous for toilets. Toilets from my past are gonna open up doors in my future. Day 49 of session. All right, day 49 of session.